What's going on YouTube? My name is Ohponstudios. Welcome to the studio. Shirt, vibe. Join me in the session. What we're going to do is my checklist before sending a song off for mastering. Making sure everything is right and that we don't have to go back and forth between mastering and fixing up things. That hopefully in the first or second shot of the master, I'm good to go within the final mix. In that the song is good for multiple play sources, either it be a speaker, a phone speaker, car speaker, whatever. So this is my checklist. So I go through and make sure all the levels are right. So I'll listen to the whole song through. I already did this, so we don't have to do this in real time. But I'll just make sure that everything flows nicely. A good example is going from the chorus to the verse back into the chorus, or the verse into the bridge. So let's just go ahead and do an example of that.
Stand with another lie to me. Stay the one to stack on self-esteem. Who's the one that's always backing me? You can get anything you love. Know at times it seems a little hot.
So I want that transition from the chorus into the verse to be at a steady volume, and there's no like big dips or gains in dB unless it fits the vibe. In this song, that first verse comes in a little louder than the chorus, and usually you want the chorus to come in a little louder than the verse, or more prominent than the verse. But in this song, actually, I like the sound of that first verse coming in with that, the way that it comes in there. So I like that, and then I'll do the same thing going from this chorus, and then going back into the chorus. And there's like a transition here too that happens. So let's listen to that.
Stride. No, if it came down to it and gotta spin the block, then baby you ride, 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 ride. World shaky, don't matter much. One we together, cut down the friction, then glide, glide, glide.
And here there is like when it hits this word no, there's kind of a gain change there. You can already see I tried to like kind of hit it, but let's listen to it again.
Drug, best believe I spend my time, baby girl, and die in our stride. No, if it came down to it and gotta spend.
Right, so I'll bring that back up a little bit.
Drug, best believe I spend my time, baby girl, and die in our stride. No, if it came down to it and gotta spin the block, then.
Right, so I'm gonna do the same over here.
Together, cut down the friction, then glide, 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 glide. No, if it came down. No, if it came down to it and gotta spin. No, if it came down to it and got.
Right, so that to me flows a little better. So checking volumes, making sure everything is good and flows nicely. Let's listen to it going back into the chorus.
It don't matter much. One we together, cut down the friction, then glide, 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 glide.
Well, that's good to know. This was muted, so now we know that. We can unmute that. That's not the unmute. We can unmute that. Now let's listen to it.
It don't matter much. One we together, cut down the friction, then glide, 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 glide. Who could've came and changed my view of love? Who could've came and changed my style of music?
Right, so I'll listen to that, and yeah, and look, we even caught something. That last clip there was muted, the last chorus bit. So that's what I'll do. Check volumes. I'll make sure everything transitions nicely. Another thing that I'll look for is ad-libs. I'll make sure my ad-libs poke through enough, but they also aren't too loud. A lot of times you'll be working on a mix and you'll be blasting it through your monitors, and the ad-libs sound like they're right on point. You can hear them in both sides of the speaker, but then you send it to mastering and then it gets mastered, and some things get washed away and some things poke out too much after the master. So I'll listen to the ad-libs and make sure that those are at a good level. So listening to these ad-libs, let's take a listen.
Anything you love, know at times it seems a little high. Don't believe that ruin my vibe, baby girl, you are my life. I can get you anytime.
So right, even that is a little lower than most. So let's bring those ad-libs up a little bit. It's at -9. I'm gonna bring it to like 7.3.
Anything you love, know at times it seems a little high. Don't believe that ruin my vibe. Baby girl, you are my life. I can get you any type of high. Us together, it's best type drug. Best believe I spend my time. Baby girl and die in our stride. Know if it came down.
Right? So I like that. These ad-libs aren't like, you know, Migo or anything type ad-libs. I don't need them to be too loud. They're kind of more of a vibe. But this particular one was a little louder than the rest. I'm going to turn that down.
Best type drug, best believe I spend my time. Baby girl, you are my life. Best believe I spend.
Right? So I like that. That's a little more equal to me. Listen to it through one more time.
You love, know at times it seems a little high. Don't believe that ruin my vibe. Baby girl, you are my life. I can get you any type of high. Us together, it's best type drug. Best believe I spend my time. Baby girl and die in our stride. Know if it came down. You love, know at times it seems a little high. Don't believe that ruin my vibe. Baby girl, you are my life. I can get you any type of high. Us together, it's best type drug. Best believe I spend my time. Baby girl and die in our stride. Know if it came down.
So now that's at a better volume. I'm okay with that. There's ad-libs here. Check the volume of those. Those are good as well. Now I'm going to also transition to any backing tracks. Make sure that that also is at a good level. And it is. I'm not going to go through that. But just checking the volume of everything. There's also ad-libs here.
Smile from me.
Or, you know, part of the chorus, however you want to call that. If not ad-libs. And then I'll listen to all the instrument information and make sure that all the instruments at a good level. For instance, there's trumpets. This is my instrument folder here. There's trumpets here.
Ride. World shaky don't matter much. One we together cut down the friction, then glide.
Right? So I want to make sure that that's at a good level. It was louder. I turned it down. And then before the chorus drops, there's kind of like a violin that plays.
Glide. Who could have came in?
Right? And that violin sample is here. So that plays before it goes back into the beat, the chorus.
Who could have came in?
Right? So that could probably be just a little louder. But just this clip, I don't want to make the rest of the violin. There's other violins on this track, and I don't want to make those louder. So I'm just going to do the clip volume instead of fader. Let's listen to it now coming back in.
Glide. Who could have came and changed my...
Right? So it's not that much louder. It's not like a crazy difference, but maybe louder. Let's try it. You can go a little louder.
Glide. Who could have came in?
Right? So that's about better for me.
Glide. Who could have came in?
Right? And then there's also a riser that's happening here. Right? And that isn't too loud, but it's at a good enough volume. I mean, if it were louder, for instance.
Glide. Who could have came and changed my view?
So let's turn that down a little bit, about there.
Glide.
Actually gonna do it like that.
Glide. Who could have came and changed my view of love?
So it drops. I need it to drop like about there.
Who could have came and changed my view?
Yeah.
Glide. Who could have came and changed my view?
So I like that, but I want it to fade a little more. And this needs to come down right there.
Glide. Who could have came and changed my view?
So I'm listening to that with headphones.
Glide. Who could have came and changed?
Cool, and I'm gonna turn it down just slightly.
Glide. Who could've came and changed my view of love? Who could've came?
And then the pan I'm also gonna change as well from here to about there.
Glad. Who could've came and changed my view of love?
And that to me sounds a lot better. And it's going back in those small little changes to make sure everything kind of hits where it needs to. When I was creating the beat and I put that riser in, it sounded good in reference to where it was. But then after I created the beat, I added the violins and trumpets, so it kind of got washed away. But now we're able to bring it out a little bit more and see that we moved it around so that it could hit exactly how it needed to. And now it's accomplishing the goal that I needed it to. So that just shows, I already did the last listen through, but even catching that now shows the importance of going back and listening through again. Any other instrument information that I want to change or fix? There's some birds in here, but I actually want to keep that at the same level. If you can hear that, those are just birds chirping with a little bit of noise in the background. Add some like some ambiance. So, but that's pretty much it. That's what I do before I send everything off. Oh, there actually is one more thing going back into the session. I also make sure that all the things that need to be muted are muted before bouncing it down. So for instance, these tracks, oh, you can't even see them. My camera's blocking. But I'll bring them up here. But like there's tracks here that say throwaway. These tracks are meant to be thrown away, or like basically muted. I don't need those tracks, and I keep them in the session just in case I need to go back to them. I just get scared to delete things, so I keep them in the session, but I mute them and I label them throwaways and turn them gray so that I know they're supposed to be muted. And if you notice here, these last choruses, they're also muted and grayed out because I didn't want those. These here are grayed out. I didn't want those. These here are backing tracks that I didn't end up using, ad-libs I didn't end up using. Grade those out. So all those things you want to make sure if it's muted, it's supposed to be muted. If it's not muted, to go ahead and mute it. Similar with any hidden tracks, there's all my MIDI tracks are hidden, my original MIDI data, and I make sure that those are muted and not playing. When you render them down in Cubase, they automatically mute, but just to make sure of that, because if they're hidden, that doesn't mean they're silenced. So, and that's what I do before I send off a song to mastering. It will save you some time not having to go back and forth between mixing and mastering in your car and being like, oh, there's this sound in it that needs to be up or whatever. So anyway, that's been me, Ohpon. Peace.